IVM.
Hey, if you like this show, then you should definitely check out another show on the IVM podcast network called Paisa Vaisa. It's a show hosted by Anupam Gupta that will clear all your personal finance doubts, from mutual funds to loans to SIPs. New episodes are out every Monday. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of IVM Likes. My name is Abbas and I'm hosting this show after quite a while.
Yep.
With me
Abbas.
I have two of my, there was Surbhi cheering for me before I introduced her. As mentioned, I have Surbhi with me in the studio.
This is me, Surbhi.
And I have Jaanam.
Hello.
And as usual, we're going to recommend you some cool stuff in the first half. And in the second half, we'll do the exact opposite of that. We will tell you about stuff that we wasted our time on, but we want to caution you and tell you not to waste your time on. We'll tell you about stuff that we do not recommend, no matter what the hype or the critical acclaim may be. So let's kick off the first half of the show with who wants to go first? Let's start with Jaanam. Okay, Jaanam raised her hand. So
Yes, I did. I clearly did, according to the CCTV footage here.
Jaanam, what are you recommending?
I'm recommending a movie called The Intern.
Okay.
Ooh, who is in this movie?
An intern.
It's Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did not read the description. I had no idea what the movie's about. So I was just like, oh, cast looks interesting. And it's Anne Hathaway and Robert De Niro. Let's watch it. So before watching it, I thought like, oh, he's probably like a senior person in the organization and
Right.
Anne is the intern.
Newbie. Yeah.
But it's actually the opposite.
Oh.
What? Robert is the intern in the movie. Spoilers, guys. That's not really a spoiler, because that's
But like you
established
know
in the
about
start.
this in the beginning of the
Yeah, it's established because he's a senior citizen, like a proper 70, 80 year old, I don't know, probably where he's 70-year-old. He's 70-year-old in the movie, and he's retired. He's had a long career. He's been like a VP in some company, and he's worked for several years, has a lot of experience, and he's a widower. So just to turn his life around, he sees his company looking to hire senior citizen interns.
Okay.
So it's a weird, they explain the thing also in the movie, like why are they looking for senior interns. It's a very random idea somebody in the organization came up with, and Anne Hathaway is the CEO of the company, like she's the founder of the company, she's running it. So she's not very okay with the idea of hiring somebody senior.
I just want
for
to know,
an
do they
intern.
fall in love?
No.
Oh man.
No.
So it's not that kind of a movie, okay, please.
Is that a rom-com? I was really hoping
It's
that's
not
a
a rom-com at all, actually. It's a drama / comedy drama.
Okay, I don't know if I have time for this movie, but sure.
It's a great movie. So speaking of Anne Hathaway's personal life, she's married and she has a very young daughter. She's probably like in play school or something. And it's all about like her struggles as a working woman. And this new guy, the senior citizen, comes into her life, and initially she's very hesitant about having him as an intern. In the first few weeks, she doesn't even give him any work. She's just like, cool, I'll send you a mail. And for like days go by when his inbox is like empty.
That happens to all interns. So
Yeah.
I don't think if Anne Hathaway is being like too like weird about this.
Yeah,
All
but you
interns.
still get your interns to do some of the work, right? Some
Printouts,
of the menial work.
get us coffee.
Yeah, but he doesn't even do that. He's just sitting there wasting his time. But then he himself goes and finds work in the office. And then people start to notice that work, and especially her. So, yeah,
But then
it's
does the
great.
Robert De Niro character end up being like a father figure to her or something?
Yeah, he is a father figure to
Okay.
her.
Yeah,
And
it's
he's...
that kind of a movie, Surbhi.
Yeah.
Where you have parental feelings.
Yeah.
No,
Not romantic feelings.
Oh man. But okay, go on.
Yeah, so he's a father figure to her, and he gives her a lot of advice also along the way, a lot of advice about marriage, since he's been married for so many years and lost his wife and whatever. And yeah, it's actually a very sweet, it's a very touchy movie. I really liked it. I mean, there's no crying or
Is it
anything.
on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
It wasn't like really sad or devastating at any point. It's very realistic, very like, yeah, okay, these things
Are you
happen.
saying you did not feel like crying even once?
Yeah, I didn't. And there was
Damn,
no...
that's a waste of a movie. If I'm watching a movie, this movie needs to make me cry.
Agreed. Even I like movies that touch your heart, but this one is just very sweet. I really liked it. It's a very feel-good film. And very refreshing from, like, the protagonists have to fall in love or there has to be some chemistry between them. It's nothing like that. It's just sweet and simple. Watch The Intern.
All right. That was Jaanam's recommendation. I'll go next because I want to keep Surbhi on on the edge. Because I know if you give your recommendation when I give, none of you will listen to it. Because they're like, we to gave our recommendation.
That's not true.
Of course it is.
Abbas, just make sure you don't take like half an hour of this episode recommending.
Shit, fine. I'll cut down like 50% of my
Come, you have
speech.
4 minutes.
Cool. So I'm recommending a TV show. It's called Maniac. It was released last week by Netflix. So the show is directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga,
Spoiler alert.
who was the director for the first season of True Detective, which was very, very highly acclaimed.
Yeah, I never got around watching True Detective
Same.
also because it was not even intense. It was too slow.
Was it?
I don't know. I watched the first episode and I was passing out. Like it was very like sleep-inducing.
Oh.
Anyway, Surbhi notwithstanding, the show has got almost universal acclaim. And so Fukunaga has also directed adaptation of Jane Eyre, and he's directed a film for Netflix called Beasts of No Nation, which also got high. Like he's the next big thing, and he's going to be directing the next James Bond film. He's recently announced.
That's cool.
Basically, he's known for high concept ideas, right? And Maniac. Has either of you seen even like one episode
I've
of
seen
it?
the trailer.
I watched the half of the first
The
episode.
first episode, cool.
Why couldn't you sit through it?
I actually got out of a very heavy show right now, so I'm not getting into anything heavier.
Which
BoJack, and I'm simultaneously watching Hannibal, but I'm not being able to watch it
okay.
because it's too heavy. So
Yeah.
I started watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, which is good.
All good shows, but not as good as Maniac, So, I'll try to simplify the concept of the show as much as I can. So, people who dropped out of like the first 2 episodes, I don't blame you because the first 2 episodes are a little slow and they're hard to get into. It's a 10 episode series.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing at one go, and I know it's really hard to find time, but if you're gonna watch it, I recommend you either watch all 10 at once or like split it like 5 episodes, because it's not one of those shows where you'll watch one episode and then after a few days, it's just not feasible that way. So anyway, Emma Stone and Jonah Hill play the characters called Owen and Annie, and Owen's character, Jonah Hill's character, is this character who suffers from schizophrenia, and Emma Stone also plays a character of Annie who has lost her sister about 3-4 years ago from the point we meet her in the show. Now the thing about the show is that it's set in a world which is like ours, but it's not our world. All right. So you'll see buildings, you'll see everything is very modern, but in some way the technology is still very analog. So the computers are still computers from like the 80s or 90s. The kind of technology that's used in railway stations is still very out of time, right? So, and it's never explained why it is that way. It's just how it is, all right? Both these characters are kind of dependent on medication. He's supposed to take medication for his schizophrenia, but he isn't. And Annie subsequently is also addicted to a drug, all right? Now, certain sequence of events happen which will be very difficult to get into, but they both happen to sign up for a drug test by a drug company. Now, the drug company itself, the way it's portrayed, like there are these scientists who are using humans as experiments. And you see the characterizations of these scientists is very unique, all right? So this world that they're set in, it's somewhere like a hybrid between America and Japan. So people speak Japanese, but they also speak English, and the people speaking English understand Japanese, people speaking Japanese understand English.
Okay.
All right, it's this very weird, it's really hard to like explain the show to someone. But anyway, they sign up for these drug tests, and they have to go through 3 levels. All right, they give them 3 pills to test. So there's pill A, pill B, pill C. And with each pill they take, so there are 3 stages that they go through. The pill A will pinpoint exactly why you are suffering from the condition you are. Pill B will give you certain sort of some sort of way to get over it, and pill C will be like the resolve. All right.
Wow.
Now these three stages are actually represented by hallucinations that are happening in these brains, and we see those hallucinations.
Nice.
So in one,
Are you going to say I
Sorry?
feel like we're very close to saying like something crucial to the plot.
no, I'm not going to give anything away.
He gives everything away. So if you haven't watched the show yet, please skip to the 12-minute 30-second mark to avoid any spoilers. And Abbas, well, you suck.
But in
There are spoilers.
there are
basically.
kind of spoilers.
Okay.
There are, yes. So in one scenario, you'll see Jonah Hill and Emma Stone's character. They'll be a couple from the 80s. In another one, you will see that there are spies who are Russian spies who are in America. In one, you will see there are medieval fantasy characters who are on a quest. But all of these things will somehow relate to what is happening to them in their real life.
Okay.
And in one particular scenario, you also flash back to the moment which led to their mental health dissipating. All right. So it's a kind of show where you constantly keep asking what is reality and what is fake.
Okay.
Right.
So ultimately, when the drug test is over, you question, is it really over or is it still going on?
Okay.
Right? So it's the Reddit thread for this show has gone berserk
I can
because
imagine.
people are taking small things like this. So it's the same set of characters in every scenario. They play different, same people play different characters.
Okay.
So you're like, okay, this person was like his mother in the last scenario, but now she's like a clerk. Does that mean something? You know, this poster was there in the first, but it was in a completely different context. Now it's something else.
Oh man.
So a lot of references and theories.
Lot of references,
and
And
yes.
a lot of people on social media talking about how Maniac is like they're not getting the show. They're
Yeah.
not.
I think it's
It
very
is-
mind-bending.
It is a very mind-bending, weird show. So they keep cutting between these scenarios that are happening in their head and the place where these drug tests are happening. So there's a subplot going between the scientists who are working there. The main scientist's mother, the main computer frame is based on her brain.
Okay.
But now one of the scientists has passed away, so the computer is showing emotions by crying, and they're trying to figure that out. Like, how can a computer cry? So they bring in the mother to actually be the therapist for the computer. It's this really weird
Oh my God.
kind
Oh
of
my
show
God.
that's happening.
Process what's happening.
There are like-
I need to watch this.
There are like hundreds of threads
Wow.
going all along, but it's still very beautifully shot. The color palette of the show is really like there are like pinks and blues for certain scenarios. There are really warm colors for certain scenarios. It's very beautifully shot. It's very high concept, and yes, all the things will not make sense at many times.
Yeah.
But still, I was still compelled to see and
Just
know
keep
what happens
watching,
next.
yeah.
Yes, and I think the credit for that goes to Jonah Hill and Emma Stone because they are so earnest in their characters
Yeah.
that throughout different scenarios, you still want to root for them. You still want to make them. You still want to see them come out of it safe and fine.
Oh, okay.
So do check the show out. It's really high concept. It's really
You know, your
nice.
description of this show has reminded me of an episode of Black Mirror called San Junipero.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't
Have
seen
you,
it.
have
Yeah,
you
I've
watched
seen
it?
that one, yeah.
I mean,
Also, you can't tell what's reality and what's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
happening. And that was a
Yeah.
very that one episode was very acclaimed. Like it won like a
Yeah.
Oscar,
Emmy.
Emmy. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
What else we got?
if you like shows and movies like that, like Inception or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Oh,
Mind.
man.
Ooh,
where
again,
you're-
Eternal Sunshine also like I like the whole movie as a whole, but like there's so many points that I was like, wait, what's happening now?
Yeah, that
Because
will
like
happen
till the end,
a
you
lot.
can't figure out what exactly
Yeah.
is happening.
Exactly. That's how you'll feel on most of Maniac. But then I think the way it ends really
It's
kind of
not
pays off.
unsettling to not like arrive at any closure. It's just like because I'm always on the edge of my seat, like, oh, what's happening now? What's happening?
What is real? What is not?
Yeah, you'll keep asking that question a lot.
Is it worth it?
For me, it is. I'm not saying it's the best show, it reinvents anything, but I think it's really well shot. And for what it's trying to do, it's very different from all the other things that you see on shows.
Also, I got a very movie-like vibe from Maniac,
Yeah.
not a TV show. Like
Yeah.
I
I
saw a
felt like
trailer
watched-
and I was like, that
Yeah.
looks like a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is made on that scale, and it's made with Emma Stone and Jonah Hill, who are like big, almost like Jonah Hill is
Yeah.
almost like A-list movie star now. Emma Stone has won an Oscar, and the guy who's directed is now directing the next Bond film, so it's pretty much like on that
Nice.
level. So yeah, do check out Maniac, and I asked Surbhi and Jaanam to watch it. They didn't.
I tried.
So I still want to discuss it with someone. So if you have seen it, when you see it, do hit me up. I'd love to discuss the show. And now we come to Surbhi and recommendation.
Guys,
What are you recommending, Surbhi?
as everybody knows, I'm the queen of all recommendations.
Of course.
Because the last time I recommended something and people are loving that website. I recommend this website called
Noisely,
Noisely.
yeah.
And people are like, wow, so enjoyable.
I saw someone tweet about it to us.
Yeah, people are really liking that. Which
You're still basking in the glory of your
Yeah,
last recommendation.
that
What's
is
this
true.
one?
Okay, this one is another great one. I
Oh
feel
my
like
God, can't wait.
if you just want to watch some content which like doesn't like, you know, there's nothing to take away. Just
I
like
love watching content.
But okay, this is a series of YouTube videos
Okay.
that is produced by Refinery29. Basically, so yeah, they have a YouTube channel, and this series is called Sweet Digs. D-I-G-S.
Yeah, glad you
Yeah.
spelled that out.
Yeah, Sweet Digs.
Not the other
No.
D word, guys.
Not the
yeah.
other D word.
They're not sweet at all.
Okay, but but yeah, the series is called Sweet Digs, and they basically it's like a look inside the homes of millennials and how what they have in their houses. And it's not just like another show where I will walk into your house and it's not like MTV Welcome to My Crib.
Is it that?
It's not that.
So then what is it?
I don't know actually. Like there's something about the whole like the way how it's shot, and like also they tell you like how much they're paying for a particular house. I feel like maybe there's only just like a particular type of people who are into
like
this
super
genre
rich
of content.
But are they super rich
they're
people?
not very rich. I mean, like they're all living in New York, but like they're not. Everybody has like different expenses, and everybody's like has like a different taste in like their houses and the way they design their houses. It doesn't seem super unreal. It's not like like a magnificent room.
But there's no makeover or anything.
There's no makeover. They're just they're like, hey, come in, I'll show you my house. And I don't know, it's super relaxing to watch someone describe, this is where I sit with my cat and I like to read sometimes. It's just nice. Again, they're
That's
very
super weird.
Okay,
And I just recommended a show that's the mother of weird.
Are you saying you've never watched?
I'm trying to get. Never watched.
Are you saying you've never watched the show on Netflix called Extraordinary Homes? What's
No,
that
I
show
haven't.
called?
No, but I've seen
It's called the world's most extraordinary homes. That's
exactly.
also-
The name itself says these are extraordinary homes. So these are like really awesome, nicely, like very well interior decoration is like superb. But then from what you're describing, these are like just like normal people showing their
Again,
houses.
I think that's the USP of the show.
That's the USP because
So is it like what? This is my bed and I pay like $10 rent or something like that?
No, I mean again, it's not as trivial as like a dorm room. It's not very distinct. So like basically every video has like a title that says, wait, what $7,500 will get you in NYC?
Oh, okay.
Or like
Got
what 1,000, whatever. Like there are different ranges of prices.
And the best thing you can get in that.
And so basically this person will tell you, I got this house as like just as a basement or like a studio apartment. I converted it into like a separate room.
So it's almost like the makeover has happened.
It's happened.
And I'm going to show you how.
And how much money like they spend on
Got
this.
it.
It's super fun. I think you guys should check it out.
What's it called again?
It's called Sweet Digs. D-I-G-S.
Okay.
Refinery 29.
Sweet Eggs, guys. Sweet Eggs.
Yeah, it's on Refinery 29, the
Sweet
YouTube
Eggs
channel.
House Mafia. I don't know what I'm saying. Please tell me the name of the YouTube channel again.
It's called Refinery 29, Sweet
Refinery
Digs.
29. Cool. And how many videos have they put out till
They
now?
have a bunch, dude. I feel like around 25. And you can watch all of them in like a playlist setting. So
How long is each video?
Each video is like 5 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
5 to 6.
So you can watch it like
bingeable,
2 hours. Nice. Okay, so that was Surbhi's recommendation. We'll just do a quick recap of our recommendations. Jaanam recommended a movie called
The Intern, which is available on Netflix.
I recommended a TV show that's also on Netflix called Maniac. And Surbhi?
I recommended a video series on YouTube. It's called Sweet Digs, D-I-G-S, Refinery 29.
Alright, we will take a short break. And on the other side of this break, we'll tell you things that we wouldn't recommend you under any circumstances. We'll be right back after this break.
Hey, it's been another great week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, please do spread the word about podcasting. You are our biggest ambassadors. If you tell somebody to listen to a podcast, that is the way that we're going to grow this space. This week on Simplified, the Simplified gang breaks down the funda of oil prices and why India pays so much for fuel. This week on Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by writer and film personality Raj Grover. He regales us with stories from partition and the heyday of Indian cinema of the 50s and 60s. On the Pragati podcast, Pawan and Hamsini discuss the government regulations that make the lives of restaurateurs difficult in Bangalore. They've got a really special guest. Manu Chandra is on that along with Madhu Menon. This week on IVM Likes, IVM staffers Jaanam, Abbas and Surbhi sit down and talk about movies that didn't live up to the hype. Last week, the Rediscovery podcast went live with their 4th season. Listen to the first episode as Ambika and Hoshna talk about quitting their jobs for traveling and is it for everyone. On Shunya 1 this week, Shiladitya and I speak to Sairi Chahal. She is the founder of Sheroes, which is India's largest online community for women. This was another really, really interesting talk. And with that, let's get you on with your show.
And we're back after the break. On this segment, for the first time in like 89 episodes, we are going to not recommend you stuff or tell you that we don't recommend this stuff.
Yeah, and we call this segment 10-10 would not recommend.
Yeah, that's the title Surbhi came up with on her own. There was no
We're all agree.
universal
There's a
vote about
consensus.
this.
What?
Cool. 10 on 10, no, won't recommend.
We would not recommend.
We would not recommend. So basically these are things that we saw because either there was a lot of hype about it or we just happened to chance upon them, but they were so bad that we actually recommend you to not watch or experience these things.
Yep.
So who wants to go first?
I want to go first.
All right, Surbhi, what are you not recommending?
Okay, guys. 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh yeah.
It is a very bad movie.
And book too.
Book, so whatever. Like, book, though I had an idea because she wrote, the author of the book wrote it on a Blackberry. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. So,
and it started as Twilight fan fiction.
yeah,
so.
but in
Also,
the movie...
my recommendation 10 on 10 not watching is Twilight. Just putting it out there. Yeah.
Just putting it out there. Okay, but like, let's talk about 50 Shades of Grey. Oh my god, they make it sound like... So the entire movie, again, we know what the story is. Like,
No, I
whatever.
have actually not watched this.
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
it's
like
very
I know the premise is like she is...
Okay, I'll tell you. It's like, it's basically, it's 2 hours of like an abusive man just like making a contract and like basically listing down all the terms and conditions that he has to get into a relationship with this girl. And this guy is super rich, okay? Like he's posh and he has everything. He has like a
Mr.
fucking
Grey.
private jet, whatever. But
Right.
this other girl falls in love with him because he's like, he has that bad boy image and he's kind of abusive. And you know how also the whole book is based on how people get turned on by like
Manipulative
power,
people.
manipulative and also power. If someone has power, they like, oh, I guess I like this dude. But like this whole man is drawing out a contract for like the terms and conditions I have if you want to be in a relationship with me. But that's one part, that's the story. But the movie is also really bad because they talk to each other in like whispers the entire time. I'm like, how is this sexual? Like, they talk to each other like, hey, so what do you have for breakfast? And just talk normally. There's nothing fun about this movie. And yeah, I feel like it's not even like a good porn to watch. Like, it's not even like, oh, I need to watch like a erotica.
I actually did end up watching it expecting to see like really
Yeah.
hot scenes, but sex scenes are also like
there is very
not
shitty
hot at all.
dialogue. Yeah, very shit dialogue.
Guys,
like,
Abbas doesn't...
I don't.
he
like,
doesn't appreciate the
don't
sex scene, so
appreciate
it's... yeah.
You want to say something
yeah,
more
but I
about
just want to say there's nothing about this movie that's sexy because he just like the dialogues are very like all. They're really bad. Like one of the lines is, "I don't make love. I hard." God. Now? I'm just talking about why would you? There's absolutely no effort on the dialogue. ये क्या लिखा है? Oh.
I think that line is taken straight from the book. I think because I remember reading that somewhere. But if you,
I would actually like it if someone said, I don't I make love.
Yeah.
so cheesy. Oh my god.
What do you? Oh my god, Abbas, you're one of those. Just go away, man.
But you know what? I have an alternative. If you do want to watch a BDSM themed movie, which is not 50 Shades of Grey, I recommend this film called Bound, B-O-U-N-D. It's made by this studio called The Asylum. Now what The Asylum does...
But Abbas, you're recommending things we don't like.
No, I'm giving them the alternative.
No, Abbas, don't get into it. Abbas,
So I am going to.
No,
the Bound.
Just say Bound, that's it. We're done.
Bound, very hot sex scenes and like same premise but with good
Okay,
sex
save
scenes.
this for a recommendation for another episode.
No, I'm not like...
We'll have an
it's
episode
like
where we talk about BDSM movies you must watch.
It's like a guilty pleasure. But anyway, I get your point. Do you have something, Jaanam?
Twilight, I think.
Sure, what else?
I think I watched the first movie and it was just, I don't know.
I also saw the first movie. I tried to read the first book when it was like a big thing. It had become very, but I tried twice. I think I couldn't get beyond 50 pages. It's really bad. And I somehow sat through the first film and it was terrible.
Guys, also the first movie I think we all sat through because Robert Pattinson looked like kind of cool. Did not? Okay. I mean, I was still, maybe because I was in my whole, the whole time where I was also really into vampire shit. Like I was watching
Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, I was watching Vampire Diaries. So I was like, maybe
Vampire Diaries is
Oh
way
my
better
god,
than
who's that
Twilight.
guy who's really hot?
I know,
vampires?
Ian
Stefan.
Somerhalder?
Yes,
Ian
but what's his name in
Somerhalder.
the series? I forgot. Man, he's so hot.
He's so
One is
hot.
Stefan, the other is I don't know.
Okay, but like moving on to things we do not want to recommend.
Yeah.
Okay, so Twilight. What about
Yeah.
you, Abbas? Make it quick.
Let me add, Twilight's music is great. As bad as the movies are, the music is beyond good.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's brilliant.
It's very
Just-
super Owl City like Fireflies, right? Like, very
no, they have a mix of different bands giving music for the soundtrack. So you have music by Muse, you have
Yeah, there's
there's so many bands.
Likely.
There's some Linkin Park songs there. There's Paramore.
Yeah.
There's some Death Cab for Cutie.
Yeah, so see now you're also recommending stuff.
Guys, let's stay true to our topic. Yeah. Something you
Okay.
would not recommend.
So 10 on 10 would not recommend the show How I Met Your Mother. I sat through 9 seasons of it, wasted about 6 years of my life expecting it to lead somewhere, but it didn't. I think if you're not familiar with the show, it's like a really big show where it's essentially a guy called Ted Mosby telling his children the story of how he met their mother, alright? And right off the bat, in the very first episode, in the first pilot, it's hinted that there's this girl called Robin who might be the mother. But in the very first episode, right, they tell them, he tells his children that she's not the mother. Well, guess what? And I'm going to spoil it for you because it doesn't make any sense. 9 seasons, 6 seasons, 7, 8 seasons later or some shit, in the end, she turns out to be the mother.
But
After 200 odd episodes.
I'm just saying they're technically not lying, you know. They're like,
How?
she's not your mother because she's not her, like the children's biological mother.
Yeah,
But
he's
they
just
copped out in the ending. It was just such
It
a
was a hook.
setup. It was a hook which did not lead anywhere.
Okay, you feel like the closure, like the
Yes,
this thing, the
worst sitcom finale of all time. I think I felt betrayed. Like if you want to watch the show at all, watch the first episode of the first season, then watch the last episode of the last season back to back, and you'll be sorted.
Oh man.
So
okay.
yeah, would not recommend. How I
I
Met Your
watched a
Mother.
movie again, so like since I always had this pressure of watching some new stuff so I can recommend shit, I was on Netflix looking for a movie that I can recommend it to you guys. But I ended up watching a very bad movie. It's called Movie 43.
what?
Yeah.
The movie has the name.
Name
It's called
Movie
Movie 43.
43, yeah.
It's on Netflix, and I don't know. I still sat through like half of it, I think. But what's that guy? Hugh Jackman, the guy who plays Wolverine. It's super.
That's Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman. Yeah.
But it's a very gross movie, guys. The minute it starts, you see Hugh Jackman with like literally testicles hanging from his neck. And again, I'm just like, the movie takes so many it leaves.
Wait, what? Testicles hanging
Yeah,
from his
neck. I know, you can't even imagine this. But that's one, and this movie has a very big star cast. Like there's Kate Winslet, Hugh Jackman, and like Chris Pratt. I mean, Chris Pratt wasn't that big back in the day, but like the star cast is huge. But still, the movie is so gross. Like it's written, I don't know. And like I was reading like why this movie was made. Turns out like people when they watched the final cut of the movie, they were trying to like cop out. They were like, you know what? I don't want to be part. And they didn't take part in the promotion of this movie because they watched it. And another thing, I feel like I don't know, but I read somewhere that one of these, like the people were like made to sign the contract without reading it. So they were just supposed to be in the movie without like reading the script as such. So they had to do it.
Movie 43 is known for like being in the production hell, and it just dragged on, and there's no
Sounds
plot.
like any Bollywood film, man.
Well,
I feel like it's a waste of such a big star cast.
Yeah.
It's just, I think you should just watch it just to see how annoying and gross it is.
No,
like,
but that's the thing. It's not even that bad that it's good. you
Yeah,
know?
it's not even like Room.
Yeah, exactly.
The Room
Anyway.
you must watch. That's a
you must
recommendation.
Which is, by the way, out on YouTube.
Okay, I guess
the
piracy
whole
is
movie.
piracy is allowed.
Apparently,
No,
according to Jaanam, Tommy Wiseau himself has leaked the film.
He has. Please Google it. He's uploaded the whole movie on YouTube, and
Or
everyone's watching
if you
it.
want to have even more fun, just Google The Room theater screening. So it's people who walked in with cameras in theaters and they're just having fun. The crowd is saying the lines before the actor does, and it's a lot of fun.
God, that's...
Do you have anything else, Jaanam?
Yes, I would not recommend The Big Bang Theory. So like How I Met Your Mother, which had several seasons spanning over several
208
years.
episodes, I just
Yeah, so I got into Big Bang Theory as a kid. Like I was much younger then, and I started watching it when it used to come on Z Cafe. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it still comes out. I feel like
it's still there.
I feel like another channel. I know if it's so. I remember watching it on Comedy Central in the India one, and then some other channel watched the rights of The Big Bang Theory. Why do they still keep buying the rights of Big Bang Theory?
Because it's syndication. I mean, American sitcoms, a lot of their royalties come from syndication. So they
I don't want a generation to grow up watching this awful show.
Yeah, so it's the show actually starts off. It looks promising in the start. It's got a great concept. There are these nerds living together, and they're going through like bachelor life and hot neighbor. So it seemed interesting, but I think they could have just cut it at like 3 or 4 seasons.
3 or 4 seasons. I agree.
They just went on and on and on with the same. The jokes got repetitive. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy the whole thing. And then like somewhere in the middle, all of them have girlfriends.
Yeah.
And then each of their relationships just drag on.
Yeah.
It was just bad, but yeah, I mean, Sheldon was great. I mean, for a few seasons, he was
then
tolerable.
Just got repetitive. I mean, you could see the joke coming. I'm like, now he's just gonna say an awkward thing, and it'll be laughter track.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's a laughter track. How I Met Your Mother did not have.
It did have a laughter track. Yeah.
But what time is this? What time is this? It's really
mid 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you have anything else, Surbhi?
No, I'm just disgusted with the amount of time you wasted on all these shows.
Yeah.
That's true.
Also, I would just like to add as an ending note saying majority of Bollywood movies starring Khans and Kapoors and like Kumars. Just like
Amir Khan makes good movies, yeah.
Also, some of them are great, but majority of them, like, you know, the kind of movies like Race 3 and Sing is King.
But you have to agree,
Sing is King, the first one was fine.
I got a headache after
What
watching
are you saying?
that movie.
Sing is King is a great movie.
It's
I'm
a fun
sorry,
movie.
I was really
Surbhi again cannot
fun.
be judged for her trusted for her movie choices.
Just because I once
she
told
thinks
you.
Bunty or Bubbly is a classic.
It is a good movie.
Anjana Anjani was like a good movie. So
listen, I'm just saying
Bunty or Bubbly was entertaining, I would say.
Yeah.
It had
These
moments
guys.
of entertainment.
Listen, Abbas, I feel like you're too like judgmental.
Alright. On that note, while we judge each other, we're going to call it a day on this episode.
Yes.
If you have witnessed things that you think you wasted your time on and you want to let it out into the world that you shouldn't be wasting your time on it, do write into us. You can reach out to us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, if there's a particular thing that you want us to talk about, or you want us to review something, or you want us to just watch something that we've missed out on, let us know.
Or if you want us to do a special episode on like one of the new movies, because we could go watch it for you and tell you all about it.
If you pay for our tickets, we'll do that. Cool.
Also popcorn.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now we're just getting demanding. Reclining seats, please. Do write into us. You can reach out to us individually as well. My Twitter handle is at Abbas Momin. I am on Instagram as well. My handle is at Abbas Momin88. What about you, Jaanam?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Jaanam Devan.
And Surbhi?
You can find me on Twitter at SmallDogPolice.
So that was our show. We shall see you on another episode of IVM Likes very soon. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Have you gotten yourself a gym membership and shown up only a few times? Are long working hours cutting your fitness goals short? How about you change things a little? Even a small effort can make a big difference. And I'll tell you how and what exactly. Hi guys, I'm Coach Urmi, and on the Kinetic Living podcast, you can look forward to some interesting stories of people who have changed the way they look at fitness after their kinetic journeys. Episodes out every Wednesday on the IVM app, website, and anywhere you get your podcast from.
Do you have a night routine? Well, everyone has one. And the to-do list usually looks like this. Brush your teeth, set that alarm, get into your pajamas, and switch off those screens. But here's one more to add to that list. Tune into the Positively Unlimited podcast for a dose of positive action and tips on how to build powerful mindsets. Episodes out every Monday on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you tune into podcasts.